My name's Ben Catley, and you're watching the AU Review.
Well, thanks very much for joining us. Welcome
Cheers,
to
mate.
Singapore. We're here at Music Matters. It's your first time performing in Singapore.
Indeed, yeah.
I imagine you've passed through Singapore a couple of times,
Mate, yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
You've played a couple of shows already. I know you did two shows on one night.
Correct.
Last night. Saturday night. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So how's it gone so far?
It's been great, yeah. A really wicked welcome. Like, everybody's so friendly here, and there's a pretty good music community around. But the shows in Clarke Quay in the centre were pretty fun. It's a nice crowd there, and just good vibes. I was pretty jet lagged and a little bit crook, but that kind of the remedy was playing a show and just being involved. I think it was wicked.
You've played. You've been busy over the last few weeks in the UK, playing a couple of different festivals. Talk me through a little bit about how those shows went and what it was like to get back home. I know you've been in Perth for a little while now.
Yeah, I've been there about 7 years, but my home's in England. Originally in England. But yeah, I was over in the UK for just under a month. Played at festivals like Bestival and Boomtown and Green Man and Lindisfarne and a few others, and it was amazing. Some of my biggest shows to date, and it was incredible. Yeah, I was so stoked. It was a good summer run. Yeah.
Do you get back to the UK pretty regularly?
I try to go once every year just to visit family and stuff. But Perth's definitely home now. I'm certainly an advocate for the Australian lifestyle, so I love living there.
What brought you to Perth originally?
Just came travelling, but straight away found bits of work to do, and then found like lots of music projects. Was involved with a few different bands and stuff, and lots of travels, and just met loads of mates. So kind of from day one, it just took off really well and stuck around, and I love it. Yeah.
It's a great music scene in Perth.
It's incredible. Well, the whole of Australia, to be honest. Like, compared to the UK, unfortunately, it's just nowhere near as thriving as the Australian music scene, from my experience anyway. So I'm a big advocate of the Australian music scene. Yeah.
You said when you first got to Perth, you started playing with some bands. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the people you performed with?
It was pretty just kind of more just chill back then. One was like a metal band actually, and that's kind of how I started. I used to just be a guitarist for years, and I was like, no, I really want to try singing, and like just used to sing along to like rock and metal songs I used to like in the car. It's like, you know what, I'm going to audition for this rock band, and got in, and we played a few shows and stuff. But then it's like, I'm going to do my solo thing now. So that's how this kind of worked out. Yeah.
So how far back does the sort of focus on your solo career go? When did you start working on your own music?
Solo stuff's been about 3 or 4 years now, I think. And that started in Scarborough, pretty much, Scarborough Beach in WA. So this music that I do now has certainly been formed and shaped by kind of West Australian life, for sure.
You just released your new single, Hell's Teeth.
Yes.
And all these shows are kind of positioned around that ahead of the release of your next EP.
I guess so, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about recording this single and how it kind of feeds into the EP, which will be released later this year.
Yeah, Hell's Teeth was a little track about an earthquake I experienced in Japan, a really small one, fortunately, and nobody was hurt, but it was just one of those little reminders that Mother Nature can kind of do whatever she wants, whenever she feels, and we have no control about it. And it's got a few kind of double meanings with a shaky relationship I was having, but recorded it in Perth with a guy who used to do A&R actually, and he's an incredible producer called Lance Robinson at Pavement Studios. He's recorded Carnival and stuff like that recently. So that was heaps of fun, and we just like sat and had whiskey, and just it was a really chilled environment to record in, so like you can kind of feel it in the record a bit. It's got it's a nice grit to it, which is exactly what I wanted, kind of bring the rock's roots kind of through a little bit. The EP is called Hectic Heart and coming out next month, I think. Yeah.
And did you work with the same producer for the whole EP, or
for the whole EP? Yeah. Although there's a bonus track on it, which I collaborated with a hip hop artist in Perth called Uncle Sam, and that was pretty fun to do.
How'd that come about?
I got involved with this kind of hip hop scene, not as a hip hop artist myself, but just did a few little collaborations here and there as a guitarist and vocalist. And then I've done a few random shows in Perth in this like hip hop thing where they're all hip hop artists and there's me doing my acoustic thing, which has been heaps of fun, pretty random. And then we just decided to do a track together, and it's called Nosebleed, and I'm really stoked with it. Kind of fun little track.
So is that kind of, do you want to do more of those sorts of collaborations?
I'd love to, yeah. I certainly don't see myself as a hip-hop kind of artist. I don't have that kind of that kind of style. But I really love putting guitar and stuff and little vocal hooks to hip hop music, and I love the kind of the raw, gritty kind of feel you can get from it. Yeah.
So aside from that collaboration, now, how do you feel that the EP kind of progresses your musical style from your past EP and what we've heard to date?
Back on the kind of the grit subject, I think it just kind of progresses the grit a bit further, and it's just it keeps the high energy up, which is I guess what my music is. I try to make it about is as much energy and kind of sweaty, gritty feels as possible. So it's kind of more down that line, I think. Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned being in Japan before, and we're here in Singapore. Is the Asia market an area where you want to be tackling more?
Yeah, I mean, as much for business as well as leisure. Like, I love traveling up to Asia. I've been up Japan was just for leisure, but this is my first time playing in Asia properly. But I'd love to come back to. I've been chatting about maybe doing a tour in the Philippines or something like that, which would be amazing. But Japan would be a place I'd love to go and try and tour. I think it's an amazing country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking more into the immediate future, you've got some shows coming up in Australia.
Correct, yeah. So fly back and then heading over east to Wollongby Festival just outside of Sydney, which is on Saturday the 22nd, and then up to Cooktown, 4 hours north of Cairns, to do a show on a boat through like all the creeks and stuff, which should be amazing. It's only like a 70-person capacity or something, but I'm looking forward to that one.
Never heard of that one.
I think there's crocs or something as well in the river, so it should be cool. And then a festival called Wallaby Creek on the 28th and 29th, just far north Queensland, which would be amazing.
And will you be doing some release shows for the EP?
Yeah, I mean, all these shows are kind of, these festivals are tying in with it, but when I get back to Perth, I'll do some kind of homecoming / launch shows, I think.
Well, Wham Fest isn't far away. Are you going to be part of that, do you know?
I'm not sure, no, I don't think so, no, not this year. Yeah. I've just been putting my focus into the UK and Singapore's taken a lot of my kind of focus recently.
So after the EP's release, what are the plans? You'll have the hometown comeback show, and
I think so, down in Freo, maybe Scarborough would be great, and then a few further into the southwest. I love touring down the southwest of Australia, like Margaret River and Albany and stuff like that, so I'd love to get back down there.
And then are you already kind of thinking about what you want to do next in terms of recording? And
I want to get back and do a new single. It was really nice to do a body like an EP, and an album's maybe not on the cards just yet, but I'd love to get in and just it's quite nice to craft one song, just spend time on one song, so I'd like to do that again, I think, and just put a single out maybe at the start of next year or something like that.
Are you the sort of artist who will kind of play that single on the road for a while and road test it? And
usually, but I quite fancy going in fresh and kind of almost writing something in the studio. I quite fancy having a bit of mystery to it this time, maybe.
Do you go into the studio with very little sometimes to work with and develop it?
I've not done it much, but I'd like to do it. The producer I worked with last, we kind of came up with things on the spot quite easily, so I'd like to try and do that again and just see what can happen by taking the risk of paying for studio time and just seeing what comes up in the moment. So I think that's quite exciting. I'd love to do that, I reckon.
And we talked about the hip hop collaboration. Are there any other kind of artists that you'd love to collaborate with one day?
I don't know. I'm a big fan of getting remixes done. I've had a few done recently. I had one done by Tijuana Cartel most recently on my track Strong Hands, which is awesome. They did such a good job. But I'd love to do another remix at some point of Hell's Teeth at some point. As gritty and as maybe a hip hop kind of remix of Hell's Teeth would be great. But I love collaborating. I think it's super cool. So I don't know, maybe something kind of trancey or something really really different, to, like the polar opposite to acoustic music.
Get into the EDM world.
Maybe, I reckon.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, mate. Cheers,
I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Aussie Barbecue tonight.
Yeah, looked up having a beer. Yeah.
Are you? Are there any artists that you're kind of looking forward to seeing? There's a couple of other Perth acts.
All the I haven't caught Almond Soy yet. I've been hanging out with them, but I still haven't get to see them live yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing Almond Soy and Your Girl Foe and Jaguar Jones and Darling Brando are the other Aussie acts. So we'll be all hanging out and representing each other, I reckon. But everyone else has seen so far has been really cool, and some of the hip hop artists actually have been.
The local hip hop scene is great here now.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Really growing.
Yeah, so I was really impressed by that. It was cool. But everything's been wicked and really high standards. So I've got to step up to the mark. Yeah.